Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Strongman Personal Finance. I'm Christopher Bell, certified public accountant, long-term Boglehead investor, author of the book Stop Being a Broke Loser. It's on Amazon for $3. And a heroic veteran who's going to tell you his Afghanistan story and my thoughts on the recent events that have gone down. Now, this is a personal finance channel, but since I went to Afghanistan for 9 months and there's stuff going down, I would like to talk about it. And I can do that because this is my channel. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then I'm going to walk you through kind of like how I got to Afghanistan, what my experiences were, where I went, and then we'll conclude with my thoughts on the whole situation. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. So I was in the Army for 5 years. So let's make sure you can see my screen. Okay. I was in the Army for 5 years. I was a infantry officer. Now, I went to college in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Let's go ahead and pull that up. Spartanburg, South Carolina. In this little place called Wofford College, somewhere here. I probably should have typed in Wofford College. Wofford College. But when I was at Wofford, I was a Army ROTC cadet. So I got an ROTC scholarship, and I was able to attend Wofford College for free. And that's a good thing because I don't have any student loan debt. So I graduated after 4 years in 2011, and then I commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Army. And then I hung out here at Wofford, here in old South Kakalaki for a couple months. And then I got assigned, well, first I went to Fort Benning, and I did my training there. And then I got assigned to Fort Hood, Texas. So let's go see where Fort Hood, Texas is. So I started here where this red pin is, and then I basically drove my happy little butt to Fort Hood, Texas. Now, holy crap. What the hell did I just do to this? So I was assigned to 3rd Squadron, 3rd Cavalry Regiment. What the hell just happened to this? Jesus Christ. Well, I was assigned to 3rd Squadron, 3rd Cavalry Regiment in Killeen, Texas. Now, 3rd Squadron, 3rd Cavalry Regiment is a striker brigade, striker battalion. We call them squadrons. But when I first arrived, I was assigned as a mobile gun system platoon leader. Mobile gun system. So I was assigned to a line troop. We call them troops, not companies. And it was my job to be a platoon leader for a mobile gun system platoon, which is 3 of these things. Now, the funny thing is, these things were really bad, and they was, broke down and fell apart. And we only had 1 working, but it was kind of fun. I got to hang out and learn a little bit about tanking stuff. It's not actually a tank. It's it's like an infantry support cannon. That's how you should think about it. It's designed to like breach walls and stuff like that. So I was a platoon leader, and I was in charge of 3 of these, but only 1 worked. Now, after that, I was assigned as a striker platoon leader. So in a striker platoon, you have these things called ICVs, also known as infantry carrier vehicles. So let's see if I can find a picture here. So here's what your standard rifle platoon looks like. So you have 4 ICVs, and they're basically like troop carriers. And then you have 3 rifle squads, and then you have a weapons squad with like heavy machine guns. And then, of course, you have me, the glorious leader. So I was a rifle platoon leader in Fort Hood when I actually deployed to Afghanistan. So this was what I was deploying with. We didn't actually deploy with our strikers. We actually left these strikers behind, and we just deployed as light infantry, basically. But once we got there, we were assigned, different vehicles. So here's kind of how I got to Afghanistan. I'm going to show you this really cool thing. Unless my map is just jacked up. So here's Fort Hood, Texas. It's a little yellow pin here. I remember we flew, I think we stopped in like Newfoundland or something. So somewhere here. And after that, we then flew from Newfoundland across this huge ocean. We were on a big C-17. I slept on the floor. It was pretty nice. We flew all the way to Romania. So look at that. That was a long freaking flight. Newfoundland all the way to Romania. This little pin right here. So I'm pretty sure this is where we landed in Romania, going to Afghanistan. And then we just kind of stopped there for a couple days. We got assigned our, some additional equipment. And then from Romania, we flew to Afghanistan, specifically Bagram Air Base. It's basically one of the main air bases near the capital, Kabul, in Afghanistan. So our mission when we were deployed was to assist special forces. Now, no, I'm not special forces, okay? Everybody gets their butt or their like panties in a wad when you say you worked with special forces. I'm not claiming I'm special forces, okay? I'm just saying we were assigned to help them. So me and my platoon and our troop really was assigned to assist special forces. Now, what we did is some of us were used as like guards for bases. Other people were used to like, run convoys. My platoon was split where we had two or three squads go to guard a base basically. And then we sent one squad to be drivers and gunners, machine gunners for a special forces detachment operating in eastern Afghanistan. Of course, I went with them because I wanted to be a warrior, and get my combat infantryman badge. So that was our mission. So we landed at Bagram and we linked up with our special forces overlords. And they basically ran us through some training, blah, 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 just to see how good we were. And then we got our assignments. So I was hanging out here at Bagram. It was a huge base, big airfield. And, there's really not much action that goes on at Bagram. You have a bunch of planes coming in and out. And there's some rocket attacks because Bagram is surrounded by mountains. So what the Taliban will do is they'll go up there and they'll set up little rockets and then they'll shoot the rockets at the airbase. So the first day or two we were there, we got rocketed and it wasn't that bad. I just heard these explosions in the distance. People freaked out. We ran inside for cover and then it was over. But Bagram is also protected by it's like this, how do I describe it? It's like this, almost like a Gatling gun. So when the Taliban shoot rockets, the Gatling gun actually, like, you hear this like whirring sound and you see this like string of light going into the sky and it blows up the rocket before it can land on the air base. Sometimes they work, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Just depends on like the angle the rocket is coming in. But Bagram is completely, or there's a lot of mountains surrounding Bagram. So I hung out there for like a week or two, maybe 3 weeks. And then my platoon got split up. So I went with the squad to eastern Afghanistan, and then the rest of my platoon went somewhere else to guard a base. So I left Bagram, and the next place I flew was Jalalabad, this little heart right here. So I flew southeast, I don't know, maybe 100, 200 miles, and I landed in Jalalabad. Now, in Jalalabad, we were there just to get ready to convoy to our final destination. So if I zoom out a little bit, on the left here, this is Bagram. We flew and landed in Jalalabad, and we hung out there for a couple days. And then we basically got ready to convoy from Jalalabad to this heart right here, where this is Asadabad. This is another city in Kunar province of Afghanistan. So flew to Jalalabad, hung out there, and then eventually another platoon took us and convoyed us to Asadabad. Now, here's basically the first place that I really hung out at for a couple of months. So let's go ahead and change the view. All right, so this is Asadabad. Now, if you notice, there's freaking mountains everywhere. But Asadabad's basically like the main city in Kunar province. Mountains everywhere. So when you drive around, you're basically driving through a valley, and you look up, and there's just these super tall mountains everywhere. It's pretty crazy. So just south of Asadabad, there's actually this base. It's probably overrun by Taliban now, but it was called Camp Wright. So here's Asadabad right here. And if you look down this road a little bit, you can see that there's a base here. It's kind of blurred out, I guess, so the bad evil Taliban can't plan attacks with Google images. But this was the base I was on. So I was assigned here with a squad of infantry, and we were assigned to be drivers and machine gunners for special forces. Now, once we got there, we basically got trained up a little bit more. There's actually a big range behind the base. You can probably see like back here. There's a big range behind the base. You can go back there and shoot up in the mountains. And it was kind of funny because like one time we were shooting and then there were like these Afghans just walking on the mountains. It's like, you should probably not be walking behind a range, but whatever. So here's where I was at. And we eventually started doing little missions. So basically all we would do is we would leave Camp Wright. Sometimes we'd fly in, helicopters. Sometimes we take ground convoys. We had like these like MRAP or I forgot what they were called. They're not MRAPs, but like they're basically these light armored vehicles that are good at resisting IED explosions. And we would just drive to all these different valleys. There's valleys here, there's valleys to the south, there's valleys to the north, there's valleys everywhere. And we would literally just drive to a valley. Let's just use an example. Let's say we drive to this valley. We would just drive in this valley, and then we would just park, and then we would just wait. And then eventually we would get attacked by the Taliban or whatever local insurgents there were. Now, there's probably a lot of people, that, have a bunch of war stories, and, they tell you how they murdered, or not murdered, but they like had hand-to-hand combat and they killed a bunch of bad people and they were heroes. In reality, I mean, there are some people that were in close combat in Afghanistan, but at least from my experience, when we would park in these valleys and then we would get shot at, I mean, I didn't see anybody. I didn't see any bad guys, okay? Because they'd be high up on these freaking mountains. What if we could do like a terrain thing? Oh, this is perfect. So you drive, let's say you drive into this valley, right? And you see the shaded areas, like elevated areas. So you drive into this valley and then you would just look straight up and there'd be mountains way above you. So they would basically just go to the top of the mountains and shoot down. But you couldn't freaking see them. I mean, I never saw any Taliban the entire time that I was there. So that's what you would do. We drive there, we would get shot at, and then the special forces guys would call C-130s, big airplanes, or they have helicopters come in and they would just blow up the Taliban. It's pretty funny, but that was basically what they did. They would just bait them out and then they blow them up. So I know I went to a couple of these valleys. I know that, but I was here for a couple months. And then eventually I was reassigned as a platoon leader because I've been a platoon leader for like 15 months by that point. So they rotated me out in, I think, August or September. And I joined my main squadron, my battalion, which had just got assigned a new mission to guard a base called Camp Dwyer, which is in Helmand. So here I am in Asadabad at Camp Wright, this little heart right here on the top right. And then I get reassigned all the way to Helmand province in the southwest of Afghanistan. So basically what I did was I left Asadabad, I flew back to Jalalabad, then I flew back to Kabul area, Bagram, and then we all hitched a flight and we went to Helmand province, okay? So this is Helmand. It's basically the freaking desert, all right? Here's a picture of it. So, well, I can just review here real quick. So here's like what Bagram looks like, kind of. I mean, it's got a big airfield, but this is kind of what I stayed in, these structures right here. And then this is kind of what Camp Wright looks like. I mean, there aren't really that many good pictures of Camp Wright. I don't know why. I guess it's a secret. But you're basically surrounded by freaking mountains. Like here's a picture of Kunar province. This stupid thing actually gets out of the way. Yeah, so this is kind of what it looks like. So you're like, there's mountains everywhere. And then when we were going in the valleys, you would literally just look straight up and see, just see mountains right in your face. Finally, I was assigned to Camp Dwyer, where I was a battle captain. So I went from being a platoon leader, going on patrols and, getting shot at and blah, 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 blah. And then I was assigned to the desert to be a battle captain, which means I'm the guy that's like in the operations center, kind of like tracking everything that's going on and, being able to inform. It's my job to inform the commander when he comes in of what's going on, what assets we have, et cetera, et cetera. So I was kind of like the base defense guy working in the command center. I was the head of the command center, basically. So that's what I did. So I went to the desert. This is basically what it looks like. I don't know what these dudes are doing, putting bags on the ground, adding more sand, or no, it looks like rocks, putting rocks on the ground. So that's what I did for the last 5 or 6 months of Afghanistan. So we were here in Garbsur. So this Garbsur is like one of the cities in Helmand. And if you look to the west, let's see if I can pull out different. We need actually terrain map to see the base. So here's the funny thing. So this is the base right here. You can kind of see it from a distance, but watch what happens when you zoom in. Boop, gone. So they actually deleted it from Google Maps because it's a secret, but of course, but Camp Dwyer, everybody knows about Camp Dwyer. So that's where we were. So I can't zoom in, sadly, to show you, but here I was just sat in the middle of the desert. So literally for 5 months, I went from, going on patrols, doing a bunch of cool hua stuff. And then I went to the desert and I sat in a command center. It's basically like a wooden box. And I just sat there 12-hour shifts every day for 6 months. And I would guard the base. And guess what happened here? Nothing. No rocket attacks, no Taliban attacks, nothing. We just sat there for 6 months doing nothing, just dying of boredom. I've never been more bored in my entire life than I was sitting in this freaking base. Now, we actually had like an Afghan army. We had an Afghan army, I guess, headquarters next to us. And they would do patrols and guard the base. And we would do patrols and guard the base. I don't know. They're probably all dead now. But basically, yeah, that was the end of my Afghanistan story. So I was here for 6 months. And then in March 2015, I flew back to America and I left this disgustingly boring base behind. But I guess it's not always a bad thing to be bored because that means you're not potentially dying in Afghanistan. So, what are my thoughts on what happened in Afghanistan? Honestly, I am not super upset about it. I mean, it bothered me a little bit, but by the time I deployed to Afghanistan, we were basically starting to wind down the war. So it was just kind of like, okay, we're closing the bases. The war is over. We're going to transition over to the Afghan army, and they're going to have to take over and defend their country. And just looking at it, like just seeing how they acted, especially when I was in Kunar province, we would go out on the patrols in Kunar, when I was at a camp right up here, being a combat hero. And we would go into the valleys, and sometimes we'd be with the Afghans, and they would just stop. They wouldn't go further. They wouldn't want to do anything. So we would just have to go by ourselves because they didn't give a crap. And we would be the ones that got shot at, where they would sit back and do nothing. And that was in 2014. So I'm sure they didn't change at all. So at the end of the day, I don't think the soldiers really gave a crap. I think they just wanted to collect a paycheck. And it was just a way to make a ton of money while the Americans were there. And then as soon as the Americans left, of course, they just like, whatever, I'm not getting paid, or I'm not going to, fight and die without American support. And they just threw down their weapons. And of course, the Taliban just came and steamrolled them. I mean, it's pretty crazy how fast the country fell apart. So overall, I'm not really upset about it. I mean, nobody actually died, surprisingly, from my unit. Even though we got shot at and stuff like that, nobody actually died, which is pretty shocking. I didn't even see a dead body, even though I got shot at. It's pretty weird, huh? I know I don't have any cool war stories. You can go talk to somebody that lies about war stories to get really cool action-packed stories. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. I don't know. I'm glad I went. I got to deploy. I made really good money. I know I'm just a very selfish man. I only care about money. But it was nice. It was a nice experience in different countries. Nice to see, the desert. It was nice to see this valley here, up in the eastern Afghanistan. It's actually a very beautiful place. I wouldn't mind visiting there if, I didn't get my head chopped off. And it was, gave me a bunch of cool stories. But overall, I'm not that upset. I'm not surprised. I mean, the Afghan army kind of sucked. They didn't really care. And as soon as we left, they collapsed. Anyway, that's it. Oh, we got a bunch of comments. Legolas. Oh, wow. What a cozy little party we have here. Hey, strong man. He. Thank you for your service, strong man. All I ask is that you subscribe to my channel, okay? Thank you for your service, respect. I know. I'm a hero. We need you there to help. You want me to go back to Afghanistan by myself? I'm good, bro. Thanks. But they won't be able to hit anything from so high up there, can they? No. So they would just shoot down, and that's why I said nobody got shot. I mean, we had some people get injured a little bit. Somebody got shrapnel on their hand, but they would just shoot and they wouldn't hit anything because they'd be so far away. But basically, of course, there's always the chance you get shot. And I mean, I have a ton of stories. I went on 5 or 10 patrols before I left Eastern Afghanistan. But I mean, overall, nobody died, nobody got shot. I mean, it's because they were so far away. Looks like a S-hole country. Yeah, that place is creepy. That's the only way I can describe Afghanistan. You go there and you just don't feel like you belong there. At least I didn't. I don't know. I'm not a very traveler kind of person, but I was just creeped out. I could tell the people didn't like us, and I don't know. I would go back there to visit just to see it, but I wouldn't stay there that long. Strong man, a hero. Meet Kevin is not. Look, okay, Meet Kevin is the true hero. He's helping people develop and build a great financial future. Don't you ever make fun of Meet Kevin. He's a good person. We need to stop bleeding money on useless foreign causes. Yeah, fat chance of that. Scouts out. So I was actually infantry, bro, but I won't make fun of scouts, okay? It seems like nobody should be there. Yeah. I mean, nobody is there. We're just there to, like, evacuate people. We just, like, landed a bunch of soldiers to guard the base while we fly out as many people as we can. But we're done with Afghanistan. I can't stand fake war stories. When I went to my dad at the VA. Dude, people ask me, like, oh, tell me about, getting shot at. And I was like, okay. I mean, we drove in a valley. We heard gunfire. And then we shot at the mountains. We just shot up into the mountains. I didn't see anybody. Nobody in my unit got shot. And then we would just bomb the hills. You see little bombs go off. See jets coming. See helicopters shooting. It was actually pretty cool, just to watch. It probably would have been cool if people had, died. But since nobody got shot, it was pretty cool. And then we just left. I never saw any Taliban. I don't know. Sorry. But yeah, there's so many stupid. There's a lot of. I don't hate veterans, but I have a thing against somebody that's like proudly a veteran because it just tells me they're probably full of crap. So if somebody's telling you war stories, oh man, I was in the jungle and I snuck up behind somebody and slit their throat, and then I killed 5 Taliban with my bare hands. They're full of crap. Just saying. The guys that actually really probably saw a lot of combat don't say much about it. Me, Kevin is begging for more governor money. Yeah, I hope he wins. I really hope he does. I thought someone I knew was full of S with a story in Iraq. Yeah. Look, 99% of the time, if somebody's telling you a really cool war story, they're full of crap, okay? I like telling the truth, because if you ever get called out, you're going to look stupid. So that was it. I heard gunshots from the mountains, and then I shot up in the mountains, and then that was it. That's all I did. Saw some bombs blow up. LOL. Anyway, that's it. Crap, it's 9 o'clock. I have to get to work. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like, subscribe. Tell your friends about me. And you all have a wonderful, delicious night. Last comment. All those men with no other skills than to hold right, they will get bored and I wouldn't worry about it. All right, couple more comments. Jesus. The Euro spent it from between Herat and Shaddad. We saw nothing, just one IED. Yeah, I mean, when I was there at 14, 15, we were basically closing shop. I mean, I guess it took a long time to actually fully close, but I mean, most people got their combat badges from rocket attacks, which pissed me off because I actually got shot at, but these other clowns, oh, a rocket blew up somewhere. Oh my God, like 3,000 yards away, combat infantryman. Like everybody got combat badges. It's a freaking joke. Stay strong, man. All right, goodbye, guys. I have to get to work. Cheers.